Our special guest on the show is a man who is, and I truthfully mean this, my favorite guest we have ever had on this program, Mr. Eubie Blake in his 97th year, and we have put together a little special treat for you, kind of a choir, singing a special song that all the guests here really believe. Correct?
Right.
All right, Eubie, are you ready to hit it?
Right.
Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. For it's hard, you will find, to be narrow-minded if you're young at heart. You can go to extremes with impossible schemes. You can laugh when your dreams fall apart at the seams. And life gets more exciting with each passing day. And love is either in your heart or on its way. So we have a real treat for you today. I ask you to sit back, relax, stay with us as we meet some people and find out about their long lives and what their secrets are. And we're going to start out with Eubie Blake, so stay with us. You have a head start if you are among the very young at heart. Let's hear it for Eubie Blake.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Blake.
Yes.
It is great to have you back on our program. In your 97th year, this man, truly one of the founders of ragtime music. His contribution goes way back and is still going on. How are you feeling?
Just like a child about 25 years old.
About 25? How are the hands? I was looking at your hands. You have such wonderful hands. How do they feel?
Well, they feel all right so far. Just a little stiff on the piano.
The board, yeah, the keyboard's a little stiff.
Yeah, a little stiff.
I know that. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you could be with us. Eubie has a biography out, which is a delightful book. The thing that I think makes it so special is it's a book that is drawn from a lot of tape recordings of Eubie, so it captures the way you talk, the way you think, and your reflections and so forth. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that I particularly found interesting in the book, okay?
Yeah.
I want to go back to 1898 to a place called Aggie Shelton's $5 house. I want you to tell us about what you were doing there. Aggie Shelton's $5 house.
Well, I was playing the piano there, and...
How old were you in 1898, around?
About 15.
15.
Yeah,
15 years old.
I'm not a good mathematician, you know. No.
No. Well, you're a living mathematician. You're a living example of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I played there, and you want to know my salary?
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Don't laugh, please don't laugh.
I want to know, 1898.
I got $3 a week.
$3 a week.
But you know, that woman never paid me the first quarter.
You got tips, I bet.
Tips, eh?
Well, first off, who was Aggie Shelton and what was a $5 house?
Well, I'm on television. I don't know how to say this.
Well, this is an enlightened show.
Houses of ill repute. That's a swell word, too. You know that?
Is that what they called it in that day? Ill repute?
Yes, that's what they told me to call it, but we called it something else. I'm not going to say it, ladies and gentlemen.
So how did you get the job working in a house of ill repute when you were 15 years old playing the piano?
Well, it was a fellow his father died, and he used to play he was a grown man. And he wanted to say, boy, you want to make some money? I said, yes, sir. I can't think of his name. And he says, all right. And you go up to Aggie Shelton. She was a great big woman, German woman. And she wasn't fat, you know. She was great, like an Amazon. Boy, you play the piano? I said, yes, ma'am. What do you play? I said, I play different things. It's a hot time in Old Town tonight.
Good song for a $5 house.
Hot time in Old Town tonight. I played that for...
That was your audition piece? A hot time
Well,
in
it was a big feast in those days.
Yeah?
Hot time in Old Town
So did she like you right away?
She gave me the job. And I played there, but when the company would go, she'd go upstairs. And I'd go out the alley.
Yeah.
Out the front door.
No, not the front door.
I went out, And it was a very small street. Ladies and gentlemen, every word I'm telling you is true. It's going to be so fantastic, you're not going to believe a lot of it. And the people, see, my mother was over-religious. Some lady was sick, and the people would come to see her. Now, this was in a colored neighborhood, but these houses were fine, three. One here, one over here, and the one I played with, the biggest one there. And one of the sisters saw my mother and said, "Sister Blake, I heard somebody playing the piano. Sound just like little Eubie." See, that's
Little
what
Eubie.
I had more nicknames than anybody in the world. Little Eubie, yes. And when? Oh, about 1 o'clock at night. Oh, no, that boy goes to bed at 9. Well, I tell you, my mother and father, only two rooms downstairs and 2 upstairs. My mother's father there. And when that old man threw that last boot down, bing, they worked so hard, you know. You could shoot off a cannon, you go, well. So I get out the window and go across to pool room, across the corner, and get a pair of long pants, see, 25 cents. The pants would come up here, and I roll them up, and I go and play. So now that one sister, another sister came, told my mother, and the sister of the church, Reverend Reed's wife.
Yeah?
Sister Blake, I heard somebody playing just like little Eubie.
Little Eubie.
Says, now wait a minute, Sister Jones has told me that too. How do you know it was Eubie? Says nobody don't wobble the bass like it. So he wobbles his bass.
Now, Eubie, let me ask you a question about that. How did you get the idea of wobbling your bass like that? I mean, you're a 15-year-old person. Nobody else wobbled their bass like that.
A lot of guys.
Yeah?
A lot of guys say they would invented that.
Invented it.
No.
You did that.
Jesse Pickett played that way.
Jesse Pickett?
Yeah, he played that.
Where did you hear Jesse Pickett when you were
In
little?
Baltimore. Jesse Pickett was a gentleman of leisure. I got another name for him there, but I'm not going to say it on the radio. He was a gentleman of leisure, diamonds and everything. And he heard me playing the piano. And he said to I've got diamonds, lockets and everything. And he rapped on the door. Now, I told you he was a gentleman of leisure, see? So, lady comes to the door, says, "What do you want?" Says, "I heard somebody in there playing." Says, "That's Eubie Blake playing." He said, "Can I?" No! He couldn't go in there. Nice people.
Yeah, no, not there.
So he said, "Tell him I'm going up to the corner, to the bar. This is Jefferson and Eden Street." I went up there, and he played a couple of numbers for me. He says, "I'll show you how to play ragtime." And he taught me how to play ragtime.
He taught you how to play, but you were already playing. Eubie, all the way back, the first time you sat down at the piano, did you have a teacher, or were you able to really just do it right away?
No. See, my teacher, I had a teacher when I was 6 years old. You want to hear the tune? That was my music lesson, see? And I told you my mother was over-religious, sir.
Over-religious?
Yeah. And it was like... I didn't like it, though.
No, I mean, listen, I sat up straight right away when I heard that. That wasn't you.
So when my mother wasn't in the house, I...
I mean, any 6-year-old kid would want to do that.
Something said, "Turn around," and I turned around, and there was my mother. Oh, my God.
And then so immediately you started doing what when you saw your mother?
First time I ever heard the word ragtime.
Really?
First time ever. Take that ragtime out of my house, and I don't want never play no ragtime in my house. Well, now, she wasn't the only one. Everybody cried ragtime down. They said it wasn't art.
But listen, you proved that it was art. Well, how about, Eubie, the first song you ever wrote?
This is the proof.
The proof.
Yeah, but I'm 15 years old now.
When you wrote a song, when you're 15 years old.
Right.
Okay. Here it is. First song he ever wrote.
Play the thing. Papa. Hey! Look out now, look out! And ladies and gentlemen, that's
wonderful.
ragtime.
That is Ragtime. Eubie, you are a national monument.
Thank
I
you,
really
sir.
mean that. We'll take a break and come back with more with Eubie Blake
Thank
right
you.
after this. That was great, Eubie. Really great.
That thing went like this. I wouldn't take no chances.
What? What do you mean?
When I go,
We're back with Eubie Blake. Again, I want to show you this book. I had a good time going through it. Eubie Blake, also obviously written with Al Rose. His name's right on the cover. Here's a picture. Eubie, tell us about this picture on the back here. What's going on here?
that's 1919. Cecil and Blake played the Palace Theater there.
What are you working on here? Is this just a...
No, just to take the picture.
Just a shot, just a shot. You know, one of the things that I thought was really interesting in your book was, that's it. You know, you shifted me here. Two of your most prominent songs, I'm Just Wild About Harry, right, and Memories of You, which you're just kind of hinting at here. Now, they're two of your most prominent songs, but what's your favorite song that you wrote?
My favorite song
Yeah.
is Weary.
Worry?
Weary.
Wary.
It's a Negroid lament song, religious song.
When did you write it?
Oh, I wrote this with Andy Resolve. 1930.
And why is it your favorite? What is there about it that makes it
Well,
your
I tell you
favorite?
what about it.
Go ahead.
You know, my mother and father, now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm only saying this because I'm telling you the truth, with no malice in my heart. My mother and father were slaves, and I used to see my mother washing the white folks' clothes and the crinkles in her hands from the cheap lye and stuff they put
Hard, very harsh.
hard. And I used to see my mother, and he wrote the story about it, weary. She used to says, Lord, how long have I got to do this, see? And whenever I play this, I think of this. This is the tune. I don't know the words.
All right, well, while you're playing this, we're also going to put on a picture, which is the second one over there, of Eubie and his mother.
This is in Eubie, the show.
Wonderful, Eubie. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you. Eubie, there's another...
Well, it makes me tears come in my eyes.
Well, it made tears come to my eyes. When you see this on television, you'll see that we put on the picture from your book of you and your mother.
Yes, my mother, she's in the book.
Did your mother give you any indication that somewhere in the history of your family there was this tremendous longevity? I mean, here you are in your 97th year, and you...
The only thing I can attribute my longevities to, my father lived to be 83 years old, and it was in the Civil War, and he never had on a pair of leather shoes until the Civil War. And my mother gave birth to 11 children, and not one of them, I'm the last child, not one of them lived to be 2 months old. No prenatal care. Now, I have to keep saying this because, you know, people think I hold no malice, ladies and gentlemen. I don't. My father told me not to. He says, these people didn't do this to me, what was living there. He says, it's going to change. It's going to change. And when he said that, I said, that old man, he don't know what he's talking about. But it has changed. Through Martin Luther King. He gave
Martin Luther King was a great...
Martin Luther King. I first thank him, and then I thank the powers that be that were going this way, and they, for 400 years, and then they went this way. Martin Luther King gave his life, but I hold no more. I want to say that.
Well, you know, you bring tears to my eyes when you say that, but I want to add something. I think that you deserve credit because you made a contribution. You did work. You created some musical work that was a pioneering work. You brought the first black production ever to Broadway.
That's
ever.
right. That's right.
You did that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when Jack Johnson committed the unpardonable sin, pardon me, in the United States, and people ask me what was the sin, I leave it to your people. Some people know it, but the younger people, they don't know. They didn't discharge any of the Negroes that were in vaudeville at that time. But we used to get 48 weeks' work, but they lessened our work. They didn't fire anybody. There'd be plenty of burlesque and the small-time vaudeville. And Cecil and I, luckily, not that we were so great, but we never played anything small. We were just lucky through James Reed. What I want to get back to...
Go ahead. I asked you about your first Broadway show.
Yeah, we put Negroes back on Broadway. Miller and Lyles wrote the book. Noble Cecil, my partner, whom was passed, I was with him 61 years. We wrote the music. Cecil wrote the lyrics, I wrote the music.
And what was it called?
And it was the Shuffle Along.
Shuffle
1921.
1920. What song comes to mind first? I don't want you to, play the whole thing, but just give us a sample of what you felt maybe was one of the highlights of Shuffle Along back in 1921, the first black production ever on Broadway.
I'm just wild about Harry. Love will find a way. We had 21 songs. Irving Berlin had 22 in Watch Your Step. He had 22 hits with 22 songs. Now, I have to explain that, ladies and gentlemen. Every song that's in the musical show is supposed to be a hit. It doesn't mean that it sells that many copies because some songs are stage hits, see? And we had 22 songs, and 21
21 hits?
Beat me by one
Oh,
song.
that's all right. You did all right.
He was
Pretty good company.
Pretty good writer, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'd say so. You too.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I found interesting in your book was, and this I didn't know about you at all, Victor Herbert, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You had a little encounter with Victor Herbert. Yeah. You wrote something called Gypsy Blues.
Oh, yes. You want to hear that story?
This is an interesting story because here you really take a work of Victor Herbert's and you apply your own craft to it, and it comes out Gypsy Blues. Tell that story.
To my knowing, I think I was the first one. Now, Gypsy love song goes
This is the Victor Herbert song. Victor Herbert song.
So I wrote a song, we wrote a song, the Gypsy Blues. I played it all, just the chorus. I played both tunes together. Now, first I'm going to play my tune, and then I'm going to play his tune with my left hand and my tune with his right. It'll fit. I don't touch his tune. Now, that's that song. Now I'm going to play the two together. Why they call the Gypsy Blues, Gypsy Blues.
Eubie Blake, the one and only, is right here. We'll be back to continue right after this. That's wonderful. That's... Okay. Now, Eubie, here's what I want to find out. There's a confrontation at one point between Victor Herbert and you. Yeah. You have taken a piece of Victor Herbert music and written something which you just played for us, and then you played both at the same time, called Gypsy Blues. So what happens when you explain to Victor what you've just done?
Well, he was in the theater. He's on that side of the theater.
Where was this? About what year?
Oh, it must have been around 22, about 22.
Okay.
1921 or 22.
All right.
And I was afraid to even look at the man. He was so great and so big. And everybody said, what do you want to take? We used to call him the old man. What do you take the old man's tune for? I said, what tune? He says, you took the Gypsy love song. I said, you're crazy. I wrote a tune around it. I didn't touch his tune. So I went over to him. And Sister always had more nerve than I. He said, he can't kill you. Just go to... So I says, Mr. Herbert, what? I says, I'd like to speak. Go ahead. He's a little guy, see. He says, I says, you know, I wrote a tune around your song, Gypsy Love Song. Now he smiles, see. He says, you wrote a tune around my tune? I said, yeah. And he says, how did you do it? I said, I wrote a counter melody. He says, I must be a great composer. You take my music. But I didn't steal it. I played. That's his melody. And it fits, see?
It did, absolutely. Now, you also write about a woman, Valeda Snow. And I had never heard about this. A woman with absolute pitch, not perfect pitch. Absolute pitch. Absolute. What is absolute pitch, and who is Valeda Snow?
Absolute is like, and she could tell you what key it was. It didn't have to be of music, anything metallic. Yeah. So we were on the train, and going from Boston to Chicago.
But what year? Just about.
This just must have been 23.
Now, a lot happened in 23. It was a big year in 23.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so you're on the train.
All right. And we on the train, and the guy's a long drive, you know, ride on the train. And she says to me, says, Mr. Blake, I said, what? She says that August is out of tune. They're just playing to have a little fun together. I said, what's wrong with it? She says, well, the clarinet is out of tune.
Clarinet?
Clarinet. And the oboe is so-and-so. So I said, I went there, I said, fellas, I said, get an A. So you take another instrument, a clarinet,
Yeah.
and push it in. You get A 440, see? Yeah, 440, what is it, 444, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did, and they tuned up again, and they played again. She says, it's out of tune. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, you're wrong now. I said, because So I went to my trunk in the baggage car. I got my
The tuning fork.
fork.
Yeah.
And I hit the fork, and she says, the fork is out. I said, no, I got you. I got you. I
The
said,
tuning fork's
the
out.
fork can't be wrong. She said, I don't care what you say, it's wrong. We keep going, and we kept on going, and we got into Chicago, this big music store. We went in, I said, Mr. Well, you got forks here, tuning forks? He says, yes. I said, what size? I said, any size. So he picked out one, and he hit it, put it down, and he hit mine. Now, this wasn't like that. It wasn't just that much out the way.
Woo! She heard it.
And the man says,
Amazing.
what's the trouble? I says, this lady says my fork is out of tune. So I hit my fork and put it down. And he says, she's right. It's about a thousandth of an inch off.
The latest snow. And she was a singer, right?
Yeah. Now, I saw a little white girl could do it, too.
Yeah?
St. Louis.
You only met two people who could do that.
Do this. See this? And she tell you from, like this. Hear all that? And she tell you every last tune when they were dying out and everything.
Amazing. Amazing ear.
10 years old, she was born.
Eubie, I want to ask one last thing, and then we're going to move on the rest of the show with our other people talking about their long lives. And this is like a hypothetical question. If somebody came and they said, I want you to explain in as simple a possible way what ragtime is, for the record. We're going to put this little piece of tape with Eubie Blake explaining this, just in a minute or so, into a time capsule. So 10,000 years from now, when somebody wants to know what ragtime is, they have Eubie Blake explaining it. How would you explain what ragtime is?
Well, you want me to play a little bit?
Yeah, show
I'll
us.
play,
Show us what makes it ragtime.
Look out. Rhythm syncopates. Now listen, hear this? That's this, isn't it? Right?
Yeah?
That's not ragtime, but when he does this, see? That's ragtime. I don't care who wrote it. I'll give you another one. This is my favorite composer, Tchaikovsky. Right.
That's Tchaikovsky, right?
That's Tchaikovsky. Whatever. Now what?
If he had ever met you, he might have been doing it this way, right?
Yeah, Bill. Listen, this is not right. I got it in the wrong key.
Go ahead.
there. That's ragtime. I don't care who wrote it. It's our music, and we can name what we wanted to name it.
Eubie, I thank you so much.
Syncopation.
I absolutely recommend his book, 100%. Would you play us out? We have Don Gold and Lillian Oppenheimer joining us in a moment or two after the commercial. This is Eubie's book. Good title. It's called Eubie Blake by Al Rose, the trademark cigarette. And I really mean this. I think one of my all-time favorite people I've ever met since I'm doing television. Play us out, Eubie Blake, and come back every year for a long time.